What's going on, everybody? This is SangLucci.com TV, Tuesdays, Tuesday TVs, whatever the hell you want to call it. Thank you, Brian.
Bless you, Brian.
That was disgusting.
Oh,
Go give me a fucking napkin. Charlie and I played some tennis today, which was real productive. I needed to get away. However, I missed ridiculous points on Priceline. You guys see the Priceline. There was a lot of moves on a lot of these names. So let's just take a look at this watch list here real quick. Just so you can check it out. Sorry about that. And here we go. So you can take a look at this Priceline. She was up 60 points. Count them, 60. Is even up after hours. You got Priceline up 20. Netflix was even a late bloomer. She's up 12 points. You got this Amazon up a chunk too as well. So it's like money all came back into these high flyers, which needed a bounce, desperately. Even the LinkedIn caught some buyers. She was even negative during the day. Even this Apple caught buyers over 540. And the casinos, there's news out on Macau earnings or whatever it was. So, money came back into these high flyers. And this bounce was nice. It was tough to catch, though. A lot of the juice happened first 5 minutes off the open, even less than that. A couple of minutes off the open, and Priceline was already up 20, 30 points, which is absolutely ridiculous. All right? But today, we want to talk about this debate. We want to talk about this debate that happened on CNBC. We hope everybody watched it.
Yeah, if you haven't.
We hope everybody watched it. It was so entertaining. Honestly, it was some of the most entertaining TV. Just like when they were doing the Senate hearings on, on Bernanke and on, when they were
Jamie
doing
Dimon
all the subprime, Jamie Dimon, everybody. When they were doing those Senate hearings and they were asking all these CEOs, Brian Moynihan, all the banks, they were asking them all these questions.
Well, you saw people drop. They got so. You're seeing public figures who have been just molded to project certain images. I mean, Bill O'Brien is a big deal for Direct Edge.
Right.
And when you see a guy like that drop that facade and let out the passion about what he really feels, it's like, this is crazy. And from the beginning of that interview, he was all over them.
He really was.
And everyone in our offices, we stopped and we were like, this is going to be real. This is going to be good. Right.
So what we want to do here is we just want to have a conversation. We just want to have a conversation about what happened. We just want to have just touch up on a couple of things that happened, during the video and just give our thoughts, about the situation. We'll probably bring Brian in. I think Peter's around here somewhere just to give a couple of comments as well.
Yeah, and guys, Lucci and I have read probably 50 pages each of the book.
I'm a little bit further.
You're a little further.
I'm like 40% in.
So we're both reading the book, but it's not like we have any formed consensus on this here. We're kind of reacting with you guys. But
We're just kind of throwing it out there, and again, it was very entertaining. This was one of the most entertaining things that happened on CNBC. By the way, this is the only reason I would ever turn on CNBC.
True.
CNBC is never on here. All right, I hate CNBC with a passion. All right, ever since I was at this prop firm, and you're watching the same commercials, the same J.G. Wentworth commercials every day. I want my money, I need my money, and I want it now. The same shit every single day. And that guy who sold the CD Learning on Microsoft Excel, he was like this old guy.
I don't even know.
And he had this southern voice, and at the end of the video, he'd be like, "Please try my product."
Oh yeah.
Try my product.
Try my product. If you don't like it, you can send it back. I'll give it to you for free or something.
Right?
Like that,
you see these commercials every day, and somebody on TV would always fuck up your trade too. So Nigerian with a stupid little ponytail, I would always lose every time words came out of that man's mouth. Kramer has lost me a lot of money.
Yeah, Kramer can move markets.
So we never watch CNBC. I hate CNBC. I hate watching it. It destroys my perception of what's going on. Because I don't need to be I don't need to be listening to other noise about the stocks that I'm trading.
There's enough noise already.
Exactly. But now when we have this, this big debate going on, it's reason to kind of cue in. So what I want to do is just take like 4 points on the video and really just show some comedy in the situation and then just kind of explain what's really happening. So for everybody who might not have seen the video, check it out. All right, let's see if this works. So this is the first minute here. All right, so right off the open, this guy is just gonna say,
this is gonna work.
Yeah, this should work.
Here, you got. Hold on, you gotta pause that. Pause that.
Okay. Here we go. Hold on, guys. Here we go.
Michael and Brad, shame on both of you.
Right?
Accusing literally thousands of people and possibly scaring millions of investors in an effort to promote a business model. Now, Sue.
Okay, so he's saying in an effort to, he's basically insinuating here that Michael Lewis is behind the business, invested in the business.
By the way, there's been a lot of rumors going around that
right.
we need to put down right now.
What?
We don't own a stake in IEX, guys. A lot of people have been, there's emails floating around. Sang Lucci does not, you've heard it here, Sang Lucci does not own a stake in IEX, guys. Okay?
Right. So okay, full disclosure, all right? We don't own a stake in IEX. But what they're saying, he basically just came out the gate just saying, hey, listen, you're trying to promote this business model by attacking our exchanges, attacking my business model. And, you're on 60 Minutes, you're doing this. So right off the bat, he's just saying, shame on you. And that was, honestly, I feel like that was where he just lost it completely.
He lost it.
He just lost it.
He lost it because
he lost it completely.
Because you look at him and he's coming in, and you and I were talking about it. Michael Lewis, when he talks, he gets upset because he can't get the words out of his mouth fast enough. But he has this air to him that the truth is on his side. Same thing with Brad Katsuyama. They have a calm to them that it's like, Brad even said, if you want to do this, let's do this, right? Because they're speaking from the perspective of the truth is on my side. When you open up an interview and you are going that, it's like you're overcompensating. You're trying way too hard.
You bring it to like a juvenile.
You bring it to exactly, and that's a little bit of what I think a lot of the reaction in our office was saying is that O'Brien was bringing it. You notice that he can either speak only in sort of technicalities. This is what Lucci and I were talking about. It was only very specific technicalities or sort of more juvenile accusations. He wouldn't take on bigger general topics. He wouldn't make a comment.
I don't think he's technical enough either.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe not.
So, and here's a perfect example. He goes on this dissertation here about this one particular topic. So check this out, guys.
Business on the planks of fear, mistrust, and accusation. This has certainly taken that to a new level, and it reflects either a unwillingness, a continued lack of understanding about how the market operates, or just
this thing keeps
What about Bob's question about the SEC revisiting NMS and the rule that really created the current market structure that we are now all kind of grappling with, for better or for worse? I applaud both of you for trying to do, to run your businesses, but do we need to re-examine the market structure?
I do agree with Michael that I think it's time to do that. We've actually called for a holistic review of market structure.
Let's try this one.
It's amazing.
Here we go.
Here we
go.
Let me finish this. You look at Goldman Sachs' investment in my exchange as a sign of corruption, and his backing of his exchange is a sign of virtue.
Right. So this is a topic I wanted to touch on, right? And now you're talking about a situation where, okay, Goldman is behind, all the exchanges here. Goldman is a market maker and is sort of in cahoots here with all these exchanges. But, if Goldman invests and backs in IEX and Katsuyama, it's now all of a sudden a good thing. Here's what he doesn't address. Here's what he doesn't say. He doesn't say that Goldman cut a lot of their high-frequency trading action. Right. He doesn't say they cut a lot of the traders on their big desks. He doesn't say that even today they're talking about selling their freaking market maker business, right? And this is all like new developments. These are all new developments, all right? Goldman was a purveyor of all of those strategies, right? It took most of the benefit, all right, from all these little tools, from all those little edge, those little pockets of places where you can just scrape, scalp, make money every single day. You guys saw their trading books, right? They came out and reported that they didn't lose money for God knows how long, right. for weeks, all right, just scraping profits, right? And now he's saying, and just yelling at this guy for falsely accusing and all this kind of nonsense.
Well, and what Katsuyama calls him out on is he's like, the difference here is that Goldman doesn't trade on our exchange, whereas they're an investor in IEX, but they don't trade on IEX, whereas they are an investor in Direct Edge, and they trade there too. And that's one of the big, there's a couple big topics that all these debates always come back to, and one of them is, conflicts of interest with the exchanges and who owns these interests and who owns these exchanges. They're for-profit entities now, and that's a total game changer. That's something that's happened in the last, 10 to 15 years. It's, so there's that. There's co-location order types. People don't talk about as much, but they should be.
So the next one is him. I thought it was crazy that he never addressed the parties that he is really influenced by. And Katsuyama even called him out on TV about it. He was like, listen, you're not the boss. You're not the boss of your exchange. Right. Your customers are who you cater to.
Right.
Your customers are HFT. So obviously you're going to sit here and say this stuff.
Right.
And you guys got to check out this little piece. So hold on. We'll do one. We'll do a couple more here, and then we'll do some reflections. All right. So let's go to. Here we go.
The other thing so the question was, there's actually no point in talking to somebody who's just.
This is hilarious.
That's correct.
And he wasn't
right, throwing dust in the air, which he's really always doing in this whole thing.
Stuff I was describing occurred. I tried.
All right, let's go to 14. Here we go.
Topic.
Here we go.
Right. So how do you combat what is going to be a negative image for your company, for your industry?
Let's start with the facts. I think David Kaminsky put it really well a couple of hours ago, right? 15 years ago, the spread between the best offer to buy and sell was 12 cents or 25 cents. Now it's a penny. 15 years ago, what an institutional investor paid Brad at RBC to execute his trade was 6 cents. Now it's 90 to 95% less than that. So I think a lot of people who really focus on the data, which really doesn't exist in the book, will understand the benefits of electronic trading generally, how it's taken a lot of risk out of the system. But that doesn't mean the market's perfect, right? Saying it's not rigged and saying it's perfect are not the same thing. And we did need a wake-up call from the flash crash. We had not invested in the technology to make our critical infrastructure more resilient, to manage the complexity. And it is complex, but you know what? The internet's complex. A factory is complex. There are ways to manage that risk.
Right. All right. So and then one other I want to show you guys, and then we'll just break it open here. This is 16 right here.
Wants to build a market without intermediaries except for him.
There you
he
go.
wants to be the only intermediary.
Let me ask you.
We're not even a broker. I gotta ask you. You are a broker. You run an ATS. If you have a market, are you a broker dealer?
Yes or no?
Are you a broker dealer? Yes or no? Are you a broker dealer? So you again, yes or no question. You are a broker dealer. Okay. The answer is look at one. Let me just ask the question.
Again, like not addressing who his customers are, not addressing the practices that again his exchange has taken with HFT. You didn't hear any of it. You didn't hear any of it. You did not hear a word of it, okay, about who his core customer is, about how they attract all that volume. Right. You didn't hear any of it. Yep. None of it. There was zero explanation whatsoever. So zero explanation of the macro picture of really about the industry itself, and more just pot shots, just taking pot shots. Yep. And you've been beaten when that's what you resort to do. Shots.
Yeah. Especially when you're a guy. Yeah, I mean you're It's like I think I honestly I get the feeling that he came on feeling like he could kind of intimidate and bully Katsuyama a little bit, because when you guys think about this, like O'Brien, he is a big deal, and Katsuyama's a young guy. I mean, yeah, he started this exchange and stuff, but like, he doesn't have that much experience, and O'Brien kind of came at him with the shame on you thing. I think when everyone in here really listened up was when he was like, you want to do this? Let's do this, right?
Yeah.
And that honestly, I think that line is going to reverberate through this entire debate. Almost maybe as much.
It's going to haunt him. If you notice, like the Twitterverse went crazy. I mean, you guys, if you guys want to follow the action, people that you want to follow, Mark Cuban is on there tweeting about it. You got Themis. At Themis-Cell, Heim is also in the mix here.
Heim Bodek is a very good one to follow.
At Nanex is in the mix. Zero Hedge is in the mix. There's a lot of market structure, guys. People that know a lot more than you and I about how the markets are structured, about HFT. People that have been involved in HFT are now are speaking out about it, you know, which is the time that we are in now. And Kasiyama said it himself. He said, we got people calling in. We got people calling in, you know, to talk about and even exposing, you know, some of these little.
He's like, we got whistleblowers.
Whistleblowers.
That was the point. This leads me to one of the things I wanted to talk about. That was he said, you know, things are happening. Whistleblowers are calling us. He was like, things are happening, and the language he was using was not we're going to make a lot of money. It was like something bigger is happening.
Exactly.
And I was thinking to myself, how many times do you hear a Wall Street, you know, they're on the exchange, whatever, but there's still actually guys back there doing something, trying to trade and make money.
Right.
How often do you hear guys like that cheer about something when it's not about making money? Right? I mean, it's got to be something pretty big to get everyone to like kind of give a standing ovation. And Lucci and I were talking about it earlier. Like when you decide that you're going to work in Wall Street and you decide that you're going to get into, you know, trading and then the business development side of everything, like you just accept that you're going to be wading in sewage to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And you're like, you mentally prepare yourself. You're like, I got to get what I can do and do what I can do and try and maintain, you know, my integrity and do the best I can do, and then I got to get out before it sucks my soul in.
Get out.
You know, and whether that means like, you know, I mean, and everyone has their own definition of that.
Right.
And I remember, and Lucci and I were like, what if this whole thing actually changed that? Like, what if it used to actually be, guys, and this sounds crazy, but being a banker used to be like a respected profession,
right?
You know, like just think about that concept of like people used to respect people working in finance. Now, if we go out to parties in New York and we tell people we work for a hedge fund,
it's douche meter
oh my
goes.
God, you should see the looks that we get.
Girls, especially in New York City, girls especially will always complain to me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he works at a hedge fund.
Yeah.
And he talked about it the moment we started.
Which means he's a bad person.
And I'm sitting there like, yeah, fuck him, man.
Fuck him.
Yeah,
I work for a startup,
him.
by the way. I work for a startup. I don't
know what's going on with him. And then they find out, they're like, oh, you're so nice. That's when I get him.
Yeah, that's when you get them.
That's when I get him.
That's when you prove your point. So anyways, like we were thinking, like, what if this actually was, you know, a time when you know, and this may sound really naive, but like this shit actually could change, you know, and the stuff could get cleaned up a little bit.
And Michael Lewis himself, like, think about it. Like we were also talking about this before, and right now, what's going on Twitter is all the market structure guys are coming out and sort of you know, playing sides here. Playing sides like, okay, everyone is picking their sides right now. And these are all the market structure guys. Remember, this book just came out 2 days ago.
Yeah.
All right? Nobody has read the goddamn thing. Nobody has read the damn thing. Not even us. Not even the people on CNBC.
Right.
Nobody has read this thing. You know? And I'm more on the fence of, or I'm more on the side of the retail guy. Not even the trader. I don't even want a trader's perspective on this book. I want the perspective of, let's say, my father, my mother. You know what I mean? I want their perspective.
Right.
When they sit here and read this book, number one, are they going to understand it? Number two, are they going to give a shit?
Right.
And then number three, if they do, who are they going to go to talk to about it?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's really my take on it. You know? I'd rather see that take on it.
And it takes a lot to do that. I mean, it takes a lot. And you know, if there's one person who can actually probably drum up enough interest, Michael Lewis is probably the person to be able to
exactly.
do it.
And you think the story that he came up on. I mean, we've just read 100 pages, and already, like, I'm enthralled.
I mean, he's a tremendously good writer. You know, I'm not going to say he's the most technical guy or anything like that, but he knows how to take complex things, find a narrative in it that you know is engrossing, and then pull you through the explanation of these concepts via a narrative. And that's a hard thing to do. There's only one Michael Lewis. There's a reason that his books sell millions of copies.
So guys, realize that this is all happening right now. You know, This is a very exciting time to be a trader.
Yeah.
This is a very exciting time to be in the markets. It's a very exciting time to watch all these things that are going on. You know, so for you guys out there, for anybody who's sitting here watching this, and let's say you're not, you know, that involved with the markets, you know, this is a great time to actually check it out. It's a great time to, you know, voice your opinion, you know, because this is the time where, you know, that massive opinion, this is the time where where the light is being shown on this particular issue.
Yeah.
HFT, trading, how the markets work, where your orders go through. Like, we're at a point in time where people actually give a shit about what's happening back here. You know what I mean? Like, you hit enter on your order key. There was no question before of what was happening. It was just, okay, I get a fill here. Yeah, that's where I got filled. You know. So for most retail traders, nobody ever thought about this side. What happens in the circuit boards of your computer and where it comes out or where it's executed on, right? And now that you know how many hands touch this, okay, touch your little electronic order before you get filled, that shit is scary to a lot of people, you know? And if it's not scary to you, it should be.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons, rightfully so. Like, I think more than anything, where we're at right now, we all are still drawing our conclusions about this and figuring out, you know, where we're at. But it's like, this is a truly exciting time to be in finance, and you don't often find that besides like some crazy bull market, right? But you know, there are, like, us being in the position that we're in of being close to Chaim and knowing a lot of people who are in the space and in this debate actively. Right. Some of the guys Lucci just mentioned on Twitter, you know, we have
also
close relationships with them.
And also understanding
and living it every day and understanding.
We live in the I live in the trenches. Right. I live in the trenches.
Right.
So anybody who's talking about this stuff, I need to know. I need to know.
Right.
Brian and I need to know, because that's our fucking livelihood. Right? But we're talking about the masses. We're talking about the masses who read this, look at this.
And what's crazy is, like, you know, for people who see, like, oh wow, you know, this guy, I don't know, where's he work? Oh, he's on, you know, NanX or whatever. Like, you guys have to understand, some of these guys have been waiting to drop certain you know, pieces of information or say certain sound bites. Just certain sound bites, there's certain language to say it in public, right? Yeah. Because legally, it's so touchy. You guys, I mean, it's insane. If there was a public record of some of these guys saying something, and guys that we know who are, their whole livelihood, their whole, you know, their whole ego, everything is in this debate. They're like, this shit is changing. You know, this shit is going down, and people are coming at, like, the real battle has begun. You know, and you guys are going to see some cool stuff happen, hopefully.
Really, yeah. You know, and maybe nothing will happen. Maybe nothing will happen. Maybe this light is just going to shine, and then all of a sudden it'll turn off. I'll tell you one thing though. That IEX exchange. I'll tell you a couple things actually. That IEX exchange, perfect timing. Everything is about timing. A business is all about timing. Yep. This is the perfect time. You know? Yep. I mean, this guy got a standing ovation as soon as he walked off that. When does that happen?
And his PR,
Kramer talks every day. People talk every day. They got CEO, they got Richard Branson walking there every day. That motherfucker doesn't get a standing ovation.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
You got somebody now who is speaking to the heart of the trenches. The people that are in the trenches. The people that have to fight with each other all the time, right? There's no guy, there's no one entity that is always, well, shit, besides Goldman Sachs and besides, you know, some of these big dogs out there, but everybody is fighting with each other. And to see all these issues now being thrown out there on TV in a Michael Lewis book, stuff that we've been talking about for years.
Well, yeah, the narrative now is you saying it's David and Goliath.
Right.
It's an underdog story. Katsuyama and his exchange, they are now not only affiliated with sort of the underdog, but the underdog is a Main Street versus Wall Street, right? And in this day and age, what better publicity, what better narrative could you have going for you, right, than that, of being the underdog who's fighting the good fight.
Crazy.
He could have used this information against other people, and he didn't. And whether or not, this guy's like a new presidential candidate who comes out, right? And everyone's like, if this guy's real, he's going to get elected.
He's going to.
And so then the question is, how long is it going to take for the other party to find out that he banged some fucking, you know, who knows, God knows
and I'll tell you what, I mean, this Direct Edge guy, he read, you know, he read as much as we did. And what he read was Brad being this nice Canadian guy who didn't, you know, who didn't like the asshole douchey
he was like, I'm coming at this guy.
Wall Street or whatever. And he walked into that CNBC little spot and it's like, that's it. Shame on you, man. Shame on you. I want to say one other thing, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I really don't give a shit. Insider trading. Insider trading was the way people did business for a while, right? In the 80s. Like, that was a way, that was literally a way that a lot of people did business, that a lot of people made money, right? And that was one thing that the street just knew. And once something starts like that, it never stops. It just advances in technology and then just changes as you go along, right? SEC said, okay, this shit is legal in the 80s. You know, they said it was illegal.
Right.
They said it was illegal, you can't do it, but nobody could prove intent, right?
Right.
And then with all this technology, it got tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher. Now we're in an environment, finally, in 2012 and 13, where people are actually going to jail for this shit.
Right.
Where people are actually now going to jail for this, right? Where we have where we have a district attorney that just has a chip on his shoulder and he's going after everybody with a fucking AK.
Right.
Now we have a situation where FBI now is saying, okay, we're going to investigate certain HFT practices. A couple of them, they actually came out and said, you know, one of them was front running. I think another one was the late. I don't know. I don't know which ones exactly they said they were going after. You know, but now you're in a situation where something else that is happening now is now being deemed possibly illegal, you know, and now all of a sudden, you know, because of who we have at the helm, the Attorney General and the District Attorney, you know, some people might actually go to jail for this shit.
Yeah, that's another thing.
That's a crazy concept.
And here,
it's a very crazy concept.
And here's something to think about too. I mean, we're talking about the importance of narratives and that and the whole spin. Like, all these, you know, the FBI, the SEC, you know, the district attorney and the Attorney General of New York, these guys have sort of brands and narratives themselves, right?
Yes.
Now it's kind of a competition.
Yes.
You know, because the SEC has been getting criticized a lot for sitting on their asses,
Exactly.
right? So they're looking over their shoulder and they're like, dude, these guys are going to come steal our, you know, our
exactly.
What's the
gotta do something.
you know, our
Steal
thunder.
our thunder.
Trying to come to steal our thunder, you know, we got to move. And so if I'm an HFT guy, I'm like, shit. I'm about to be, I might have an example made of me, you know.
You know, so watch your tape. I'll tell you how you figure this out. Watch your tape. Watch your tape. See if you can spot the same stuff that happens. You know, and for those of you guys who are in the trenches, you know, Brian and I will sit here and watch this every single day, and we'll see if it starts to fade off a little bit.
Right.
You know, and it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see that actually happen. You know,
I mean,
and
less activity,
less activity.
HFT.
You know, and you see, and I have this big conspiracy right now: the fact that Goldman Sachs has been like the worst performing stock for the last like 6 months or whatever.
God, yeah.
They've totally dumped their, you know, what they're known for, right?
Right.
Goldman Sachs is known for exploiting the edge, for creating the edge,
right,
for creating that edge and owning that edge. Now you've given up this edge, and now all of a sudden you're this good guy bank now. You're backing X, Y, and Z. You're dumping that whole edge. What the fuck kind of bank are you now? Like, what kind of, who are you? All you do now is underwrite for IPOs. What else? Who are you now? You know, so if Goldman Sachs loses that edge, that edge that they've always had,
right,
that whole secrecy thing, what happens to this bank? You know, what happens to this bank?
Brian, what do you think?
He's over there. You know, he wants
thoughts.
whiskey. All right, we'll end this off with a thought from Brian and wrap it up.
Unrelated, Diesel Boy is now following me on Twitter.
Oh my God! Oh, he's following you, dude.
And he's asking us how interested we are in the desk.
Shit.
Diesel Boy, if you're watching this, we're
on it.
We're casually interested, you know, not that big of a deal, I think. All right, what do you think about the?
What do you think about?
I'm just joking. Well, it's crazy to me that they're getting rid of the DMM on the floor.
Yeah.
They're trying to front run the fiasco that's going to happen.
Exactly.
And they're trying to set themselves up as.
You talking about Goldman?
Yes.
Yeah. You're talking about Goldman.
No, we're on the good side, and
right.
they're positioning themselves.
Big PR move.
You know,
big PR move.
I mean,
this is Goldman
O'Brien.
Sachs.
I've never seen someone that's in charge of such a cornerstone. I mean, Direct Edge, as scummy as it is a cornerstone in the markets, and for him to look like he did today is embarrassing.
Right.
For them
the whole industry.
Bats, and he just imploded, and that's just the first thing that's going to happen.
And so then the question will be, are people going to, it's like going back to politics, you know, when Chris Christie, when all that stuff came out about him in this bridge, you know, the bridge controversy, Republicans then, you know, he was going to be the presidential, he was the front runner for that. The Republicans also started keeping him at arm's length, being like, well, you're kind of radioactive now. And the question
or
would be,
he dumped his own party when Sandy came around. He shunned his own party because of their response to Sandy. I think that's where it started.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is when within your community you know, you have someone who kind of fucks up and is a little bit radioactive. It's like, do you just? My question is on Twitter: are people going to be supporting O'Brien? Because the people who are openly supporting him,
right.
That's a statement of the level of their
allegiance.
allegiance. Whereas I think you're going to find some people kind of break off from that and be like,
right.
Well, here's where I really stand. I'm not really with O'Brien, but I'm not over here. I'm kind of in the middle. And
so where we stand, guys, we don't have an affiliation. We are Sang Lucci, baby. We trade. Right, baby. We sit in the trenches. We are just here to give you this information and enjoy all of it with you guys. So that's really.
We are making friends with IEX, though.
I mean, you know, we might.
Honestly, we want to meet.
We just want to meet the dude. I want to meet this dude.
I want
that he is coming over.
I want to meet this dude.
I think we're going there.
I think
we're going to meet up with him next week.
All right.
Okay, but we just want to look him in the eye and be like, are you real? Are you a real person? What's going on?
Man? What's going on, man?
So we'll let you know how that goes. Maybe.
Definitely. All right, guys. So we'll see Thursday for the mailbag per usual.
Yep.
Tomorrow's another day trading, and we'll see you in the chat rooms, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Peace.
Later, guys.